Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I'm your girl Aya, and in this video I want to dive into the $1 million question, which is how much should I charge? Now, I've come a long way from watching YouTube in my bedroom as a broke architecture student, starting with $500 gigs, which felt as if I've dug up some sort of treasure, to now running a six-figure film production company, working on projects with 20 to 30K budgets and up, and also developing a second business on the side. First of all, you need to understand that there are different factors when it comes to coming up with a price. Let's begin with talking about your unfair advantage, because everybody has one. Now, this could be that you live in a crazy big city that is home to a big part of the entertainment industry. It can be that you've used the camera since you were a little kid and now you're like a filmmaking prodigy. Or it can also be that you have a huge following online. You get the point. Everyone has some sort of leverage in a certain area, and this is important for when we start talking exact numbers. Now, when it comes to pricing, there are two different methods you could use. One is hourly-based pricing and the other is value-based pricing. I know some creatives and friends of mine are totally against hourly, but I think time is one of the core foundations to coming up with a price. You are indeed exchanging your time for money, but the biggest difference to why people might advise you against hourly and why I would also advise you against it is that time isn't the only factor to take into consideration. For example, you going out to film an event for, let's say, 4 hours at $200 per hour doesn't add up all of the effort you've put into this project. So instead, when discussing the project budget with your client, ask what kind of problem will this video be solving for them. Before we talk numbers, I want to propose that you reverse engineer your financial goals. List personal and business expenses and then set monthly income targets. This will allow you to see how much you need, how much you want, and therefore will set a clear goal when you start searching for work. Your personal expenses could include all kinds of living expenses like food, car, medical, travel, going out, etc. And business expenses could be contractors, employees, new gear, all kinds of online subscriptions, and etc. Let's say for this example that the total amount comes up at 8K USD per month. Now, on top of that, it would be ideal if you can set aside 10% in a personal savings account and 10% in a business savings account. Building a 3 to 6 months worth of safety net, getting rid of debt, will really help you be more picky about who you work with and if those projects align with your values. But in the very beginning, that's kind of hard, so I wouldn't focus on, saving if I'm just starting out. Another thing that I want to advise you is to create a chart and see how much time you need for every specific task. For example, if you're filming a commercial, let's say, and you're doing like a full service production, like from the idea to the moment, you give the ready video to a client, list out all of the activities, like the discovery call, for example, 30 minutes. And then you have research and gathering inspiration, that is, 4 hours. Coming up with a treatment, being on set, list up all of those and see how many hours you're spending on this project. And then, for example, if you used to, charge 5K for something like this and then divide that and it turns out that, it took you 100 hours, this means that you are charging $50 an hour. I had an editing client on a retainer basis, then I did this exercise with this chart. And it turned out, ladies and gentlemen, that for the amount of work we were putting in, we were making 10 or $20 an hour. And I was like, what the F am I actually doing? This is insane. So this is why I'm proposing that you do the same, because 5K can sound like a lot of money. but what amount of work are you actually doing for those money? So anyways, in the best case scenario, if 8K are your expenses, given the example that we gave with the personal and business expenses, ideally you'd have 2 to 3 retainer clients, each bringing a couple thousand a month, and maybe every 3 months or so you can focus on a bigger project like a commercial, a brand documentary, etc. that brings about 10, 20, 30K. This is how I strive to structure my business. Retainers keep the ball rolling, they pay salaries and cover the expenses needed to keep the lights on. And bigger projects is what I use for bigger investments or for saving. This year, I also decided to tap into passive income. So apart from the online educational platform I'm launching next month, I'm also building digital products. And on top of that, I'm striving to expand my online presence, for example, with this YouTube channel and with regular LinkedIn posts. So just think about what floats your boat, like what are you interested in? Hey, real quick, I want to tell you about the sponsor. They helped support and make this video possible. Now, if you don't know what Artlist is, I don't know where you've been this whole time, but simply put, it's an all-in platform giving you access to a bunch of creative tools. Now, truth being told, even before Artlist sponsored this channel, I've been using the tools that they offer to speed up my team's editing time by providing them with access to music, sound effects, a bunch of templates, and even stock footage. All of the graphics you've been seeing in this video, it's all from there. I really think that if you're mainly creating online content, Artlist is going to be super useful for that. If you use my link in the description to purchase an annual subscription, you'll get 2 free months added on top of that. So, really hope this helps. Thanks. It actually turned out that it took me, let's say a couple of years to get to a certain level with the client budgets. And then with YouTube, it took me like a year to get to the same level. So yeah, think about different income streams. Don't only focus on one thing and be like, oh, I'm a filmmaker, I'm just only going to do like real estate. For example, this is like, I don't know, a very specific example. But what I mean is strive to develop a couple of other things because interests, they come and go. And if you want to be in this for the long run, you have to be doing something that you actually, have a passion for. And when you start working with clients, that can sadly quickly fade away. So it's your responsibility, to keep this flame burning, if you know what I mean. You need to understand 2 things though. It's not easy. I'm talking to you about those numbers like 8K, just throwing like 5 figures, 6 figures at you. But I want you to know that I also haven't figured everything out yet. And I'm constantly having conversation with friends who tell me the same things. And some months are tougher than other. And this is a slow game because unlike most other jobs, filmmaking and any creative endeavor for that matter, doesn't reward effort immediately. We are used to putting the effort and receiving a reward, aka getting paid like right away on the normal jobs out there. But in this industry, you can be putting effort for 2 years straight and get no result. But then the next year, you keep putting in the effort and you actually succeed and you reach that financial goal of yours. So if your gut is telling you to do this job, follow your heart and run with it. If you're feeling too much doubt and you're afraid of hard work, then don't. So when it comes to pricing, the most important thing is to ask the right questions. You need to prove your expertise. It doesn't matter how awesome your past projects are. I mean, it does, but it doesn't, because you have to build trust with this potential client and they care about their project. They have seen the projects that you have done and they're like, that's interesting, but could they be the one for the project that I have in mind? So you need to show your experience and showcase proper leadership with your clients. You're taking their hand and you're executing a vision that will benefit them. So how do you define where you stand on that ladder, on that, budget ladder, experience ladder, whatever? And this is probably the most important part of this video. So if, I have something to say, this is it. Because you need to be capable of evaluating your skills and experience Apart from the number of paid projects you have done so far, I want you to ask yourself if your work is good enough. Is it visually appealing? How much is your gear worth? Do you know your gear well enough? How many years have you invested in learning? What do other industry professionals say about your work? Do you have an established business? Do you have a website? Has your work won any film festivals or awards? How big are the businesses you have worked with? Is it a company that everyone knows about or not? I want you to think about that very carefully and remember that you can always do better. I repeat that to myself all the time. And it's true that, you can be your biggest critic, but you have to strive that with every next project, you up your game, because this is how you grow. And know that a budget, coming up with a number, or, your client saying a number, this depends on all of those factors. So it's not just me saying, oh, you should charge this amount of money. Hey there, it's Aya from the editing room and from the future, and I just wanted to let you know that I decided to cut this video into 2 parts just because the whole video turned out to be like 20 minutes long, and I was like, okay, no one is going to watch that. So in the second part, we are going to go through the couple of stages that you go, from beginner through intermediate to, pro, and what are, the budgets for each of those categories based on my experience. So I promise it's going to be a really interesting one. If the video is already uploaded on the channel, I put the link up here, and if not, like if you're just watching this right now, I just uploaded this to the channel. Go and subscribe, and like you'll see it next week. So yeah, let me know what you thought of the video. Really hope that you enjoy and that you learned something. So yeah, see ya.